Mic check, mic check. Let's see. Let's see if we can add a quick question on here. This is not my first time going live, but this is my first time doing something live for free. The service here is doing a free underwriting. So if you are finding this live, you are here because you saw that it's a free underwriting service. Now, this is something that I'm doing with my partner and and we're just curious to see who is looking at real estate, who is looking at um, participating in syndication style properties, or it doesn't have to be syndication itself, but it could also be just you yourself or you and a partner without a syndicating co-partner or general partner. But again, we're just here to offer a free service. If this is something that you're interested in and you want to partake in it, I'll leave you with an email. You can find that in the description that you can send over the property. And if you want to have an NDA on the property, I don't mind participating. And also, if you want me to send you one as well, I could do that for you as well. So it's all fair game. I understand that there's some sensitivity around sharing deals. Totally get that. But I want to make sure you know that it's something that I've considered and I already, you know, could understand if you don't want to share that. But let's talk. Let's see if this is something that works out. Free deal underwriting services. Again, this is for multifamily apartment style properties and no catch to it. Honestly, just interested in part having an engaging conversation around properties that um, you might have a second opinion on. If you ever have come across a property that looks interesting to you and you want to get a second opinion that has no ties, no um, vested interest in the deal, I want to be a service to you. I want to make sure that you can bounce your ideas off of somebody that has no vested interest in the deal to see if it's a good fit for yourself. And you don't have to be sold on the idea. And this is just for conversation education, of course. I'm not here to be your counselor or your guide. Just want to make sure that there's conversations around deals that seem viable, seem like a good fit for yourself. So if you find any deals and you feel like we could look at them together, would love to entertain you. Would love to host that and see if this is an option for you. In the meantime, I'm gonna actually pull up my own deal that I walked in Tennessee to kind of give perspective here of some deals that I've seen, I've underwritten. This way you can have context to, my personal experience in real estate as it pertains to real syndication. So I'm going to go and pull up a property that I did a walkthrough on, and I found it. I just got to pull it up. All right, I think I found it. Let's see if I can share screen. Okay, I got the pulled up. Let's see if I can share screen. I wonder if it's going to catch audio too. I don't know if it's going to catch audio, so forgive me if it is on here. Forgive me, the audio is on there. Ooh. This is a property out in Sacramento that me and my partners found, and as you're going to check out on this video, it's super rare find of a dilapidated property that needs some money, needs some love. And when you find deals like this, it's very hard to find, but when you do find them, it's time to take action. It's time to uh, make the deal work as soon as possible. Make sure the numbers work out. Make sure you have your investors lined up, so that way you don't miss out on opportunities in the future that come up. And yeah, I'm gonna let this video play out for you guys. If you guys have any questions, any thoughts, just let me know. No lights, the electricity was out. Of of course, I'm making this video, and while I'm doing my walkthrough of this big apartment, I'm trying not to put people's faces in the actual shot because this is real estate, of course, and not everybody's interested in being on YouTube. So I'm doing my best to keep my camera trained on everything other than people's face. So forgive me if it looks a little choppy. It's an idea that is more important than just the property itself. It's the idea that these are properties and style of properties that are interesting, and not the video content itself. As a reminder, free underwriting, free deal analysis if you're interested. Of course, I do not want to take your deals away from you. What I want you to know is that you can give me an NDA or just keep my personal information. I'm a public person. All of my data, all of my information is public, so you don't have to worry about me personally doing anything. And if you ever feel like you want the service of a free analysis on your property, I'm open to NDAs, and I will have NDAs provided to other people, of course, in the near future. This is a trial run just to see how this really can work out for not just yourself, but myself as well. I want to be a resource. I want to be a favor. I want to be I want to be a help to the community at large. So I'm here for you guys. If you guys are interested in multifamily properties and just want to have a perspective that is not widely recognized, I want to be that for you. So yeah, let's get back to the video. See, this is actually a really large unit, a really large property. And if this is something that you're interested in, investing in properties that are really, really large, that need a lot of money, that can provide you a huge net benefit on the back end on selling, refinancing, you want to know where to find these deals. You want to know who to partner with. You want to know if the deals make sense on paper. And you have to underwrite the deals to find out. And so, it's not just gonna be some back of the napkin underwriting that's gonna make sure that this deal works out. Some people like to do the Grant Cardone way where they will just they'll use the rent, multiply that by the unit, the number of units, then they'll multiply that by the number of months, 12 months in a year, to get their gross revenue for the year. Then what they'll do is they'll take that gross revenue, divide that by the expenses, and when you divide the GI, the gross income, by the expenses, what you will get is your net operating income. With the net operating income, you can take that and divide that by your perspective cap rate. Your perspective cap rates are dependent on the market, dependent on the location of the area. So your for California, I'll give you California for example. A Stockton property would most likely land yourself around a 10 cap on a general sense. And then when you get closer to the Bay Area, you're going to find that the cap rate shrinks. And it's not shrinking because it's a bad deal. It's shrinking because it's such a viable option and that there's a lot of demand in the area, such demand that the cap rate compresses. Meaning more people live there, more attentions on the property, and so the income opportunity becomes a little bit more shrunk, but it's still a great deal. And so you'll take the net operating income, you'll get the cap that you want, the desired cap, and then what you get from that when you divide that is your prospective price tag on the property. Okay? And that's your back of the napkin underwriting. Let's bring this screen back up and so you guys can continue to watch. You see that? A great opportunity here. Mhm. Mhm. Looking crazy. Mhm. Empty pool. You see that? So one of the property units caught fire, as you saw here. And so you have to bake into your underwriting costs for repairs for all expenses. So what you're gonna see here is just a walkthrough on some photos that I thought were important to highlight. Live free deal analysis. This is a video of a property in Sacramento that was a great opportunity, dilapidated, and was essentially an opportunity worth investing in. So, as you come on here, if you have any questions, jump into the chat. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you wish to take an opportunity on a free deal analysis, free feel to let me know. Love to help. Free deal analysis. If you ever were interested in shopping for multifamily properties, of course, calculating deals are extremely interesting. You need calculators. You have to know what you're looking for. But if you've ever invested in real estate, I'm sure you know how to do that. Now, if you're ever interested in seeing from a different person's lens, somebody that has no vested interest at all, somebody that is open to breaking the worldview of your investment strategy so that way you can save yourself millions of dollars in the long run. Use me as your resource. I'd love to help you out. Free deal analysis if you're ever interested in for properties that are multifamily, multifamily deals, free deal analysis properties that are apartments. I want to be a resource. If you ever have any questions, I want to be a person you can reach out to and run analysis on deals that are interesting to you. This is a deal that I've shopped, that I've underwritten, that I passed on ultimately. And I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to entertain deals that may be a viable fit for yourself. And how would you know? How would you know if a deal is a viable fit if you have not had an opportunity of vetting that property? So, with that being said, if you are interested in having a free deal analyzed in multifamily, I'm going to put my information into the chat that you can email, and you can send me over any NDAs, deals that you are interested in, and I'll run them at the time that I receive them. So I'm typing into the chat right now, Realty Group. Oh, did I delete my message? Let me put my email back on here. Okay. Email should be pinned into the chat, and now you'll have access to my email. If you want to forward me an NDA, or if you want to forward me your deal for a free analysis, feel free to, and would love to look over those deals with you. This is a deal that I looked at in Sacramento that I actually passed on. It worked really well on numbers until when we started placing offers, the deal kind of escaped us. The numbers weren't the same once we found that other people were willing to pay more than our desired costs, right? We're not going to spend uh $12 million on a property that's worth maybe 10. And the reason why is because after you crunch numbers, you find that the story is best sold at a particular price tag, and you don't want to go over that number higher than you should. That's the reason why it's important that you do your numbers and know what you should be placing offers on properties that are interesting to you, so that way you're not costing yourself millions of dollars. This is a deal that could have cost millions of dollars. If we would have placed the offer at 12, 13 million, we probably could have lost out on so much money because we were competing rather than staying focused on the game plan. The game plan is more important than how our feelings are. If we take our fees out of the way, our feelings, if we take our fees out of the way, we will make sure that we capitalize on deals like this when the opportunities present themselves and it makes sense in dollars. Because at the end of the day, no one wants to pay top dollar for something that doesn't make sense. Free underwriting for people that are interested in multifamily. Free underwriting for people that are looking for multifamily. I'm gonna go ahead and put my screen back up. It's a deal that I had through in Sacramento. If you have any interest in getting into deals like this and just don't have the tool for underwriting, and this might be your first time or just learning a little bit about the space, you're gonna find that just learning how to do underwriting costs a ton of money. There's experience involved, there is money involved, and the last thing you want to do is spend thousands of dollars on something you've never done before. And that just be underwriting or doing something that you haven't had an opportunity to be mentored on. So, this is a free opportunity to jump on here. Let me know a little bit about yourself. Let me know a little bit about an opportunity that you're interested in, and if it's something that you want to participate in the future, would love to be a resource to you. Here's some photos of the property that I took. Let me do something here. Let me see if I could pull up, if I can pull up a Grant Cardone underwriting so that you can see what what underwriting can look like without having a calculator. Must have watched it sometime today. Let's go to history and let's pull up this. Apparently, in order for me to share audio, I need to share the link onto this screen. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, so we're gonna open up the tab for here. We're gonna share audio, and it should
My
work.
napkin. We're talking about units here, and I'm going to multiply that times the rent. Okay, so let's say I have 40 units, and let's say the rent, just to keep it simple, for $1,000. I have $40,000 of income. That's a month, and times 12, and that is $480,000. Okay, now that's the maximum amount that can be collected from this property. From that number, that's our income. We got that done. We have our expenses. I'm gonna take the 480,000, and for simplicity right now, I'm gonna assume that we collected the rent on every unit, which would never happen, but let's just assume it for right now because we're doing napkin underwriting, okay? I'm gonna take half of this and say I'm gonna spend it in expenses. In the state of Florida, if I'm on the East Coast, it's definitely gonna be 50%. If I'm on the West Coast, I'm probably gonna be around 38%. You have to know the taxes, the expenses, the insurance. That's going to include our vacancy here, loss collections, electricity, insurance, taxes, etc. And I'm going to have $240,000 of what is called NOI. That is determined by GI less expenses equals NOI. And all I do now is flip the page and take my NOI of $240,000, divide it by the percentage that I would like to make on the property, and I have my value. If I would like $240,000 to be a 10% return, then I would know that I could pay $2.4 million for that property. At $2.4 million, I would then know I would earn a 10% return. If I only needed a 6% return, because let's say it's a better location, New York, Chicago, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Los Angeles, San Diego, Denver or Boulder, and I'm like, great property, I don't need but a 6% return, I could now pay $4 million. And the way you figure that, this is called cap rate. You basically just divide by the 6, the 8, the 10, the 4, the 3, whatever the cap rate is. Cap rate is basically the percentage you would want to receive on the property if you paid cash. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you how to do here, and very important, once you've done your napkin underwriting the way we do and we teach our students to do, very simple, okay? Just keep it very simple. Why? Because I want to be able to get on the phone with a broker. It goes like this. I find a deal, I do my napkin, I call the broker. Okay, I'm trying to test my napkin against what the broker says that property should or should not bring, or what the expectation on the price is. The last thing you want to do here is you want to take this offer. Remember, we came between 2.4 million if it's a 10 cap, and we did $4 million if it's a 6 cap. I'm gonna have a spread, so I know somewhere between 2.4 and $4 million is gonna be what's expected by the seller and anticipated by the buyers. I won't be the only buyer, hopefully, okay? I'm now gonna divide by the number of units by my offer to see if my offer per unit lines up with the marketplace. Okay, in the case of $2.4 million, I would be paying 40 units. I'd be paying $60,000 a unit. I'm like, 60 grand a unit in Miami, never gonna happen. Denver, never gonna happen. LA, never gonna happen again. Okay, New York City, never gonna happen. But if I go to Jackson, Mississippi, maybe, okay? Maybe Jackson, Mississippi, I could find some old rural community. They don't have a bunch of jobs. Maybe I could, maybe it makes sense. I'm using this as a check, as a metric, to figure out, hey, what's right? What should be in that ballpark? What's reasonable for me to make an offer to this seller? Okay, because I don't want to offend them. I want to get a conversation going. I'm going to show you in another video the exact steps, by the way, the sequence in which I make offers. I find a deal, I underwrite it this fast. I'm telling you, in under 60 seconds, I'll know somewhere between 2.4 and $4 million is what somebody's going to offer on this property. And then I'm going to get on the phone with the broker and try to sell him on selling the property to me and find out whether I have a real buyer or not. Okay, last thing. On the $4 million, what are we paying there? 4 million divided by 40 units. Oh, I'm 100 grand a unit. I'm like, dude, that still seems pretty cheap for Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Boulder, Colorado, Los Angeles. Almost every market in the country, 100 grand a door. I mean, depending on when it was built, 1976, it still seems pretty cheap to me. Now, once I have my per unit, this is per unit price that I'm paying. Like, let's say I'm in San Diego. You can't get, the reason this is important is you can't, the paperwork to build a new unit would be probably 75 to 100,000 a unit, and I haven't put a piece of concrete, a board, rebar, nothing, not a piece of glass in the building, hadn't built steps or got access for handicaps, nothing, okay? I hadn't even bought the land yet, and it would cost 100 grand a unit just to get it approved by the city of San Diego. Okay, now, the last thing on top of the last thing, if there is, okay, is my replacement cost. What's it cost to replace this asset in the market before I call this broker and say, hey, dude, you think this number would actually get the deal under contract, or what's the expectation? Replacement cost is what it costs to build that unit. I'll give you an example. We recently bought a deal. It was 331 units. We paid $118 million for the property, okay? I knew when we were buying the property, times 0.05, I knew when I was buying the property, it was doing $6 million of NOI, okay? I knew the location, I knew the property, I literally knew there was 331 units, I knew who the seller was, I knew I would buy it if I could get the right deal. So what did I do? I see the deal, boom, I called the broker. In between that, while I'm calling him on the phone, I'm basically doing my underwriting. 6 million divided by 118. No, I'm sorry, 6 million. I'm doing the underwrite, 6 million divided by a 5% return. I could offer this guy $120 million and make sense of the deal. I took my 120 divided by 331, and boom, I'm paying 120 divided by 331. It's $362,000 a door. I know in that marketplace it would cost me $550 to build it. I just bought this deal 2 weeks ago. It would cost me $550 to buy this deal. I'm like, if I could buy this for 120 or less, I'm gonna make 5% on my money. The location's sick, it's irreplaceable. It cost me $550 to build it. Boom, I went into the phone call. I'm able to make a phone call and say, I love the property, love the asset, love the location. I need a 5% return on this. Do you think that that's what they're expecting on the sale of the property? We put the deal under contract, closed it 45 days after we put it under contract. Now, last thing I want to tell you is this. You have to have confidence when you're doing your underwriting. The underwriting has to be simple. It has to be so simple, you don't need a calculator, you don't need a spreadsheet. It needs to simply be number of units times the actual rent times 12 months plus other income, 5 to 6% on nice stuff, 2 to 3% on older stuff, times the occupancy, you'll never be full, so don't count it at 100%, equals your actual income less all your expenses, equals the NOI. Then divide by your cap rate, and there's your price to offer. Once you have a price to offer, divide by the number of units and check your unit price against replacement cost. Keep it simple, look at a lot of properties, make a lot of offers, and talk to a lot of brokers. Hope you enjoyed this. If you want more content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and your notifications are turned on. Yes, I find a deal, I do my napkin, I call the broker. Okay, that's a month and times 12, and that is $480,000, okay? Now that's the gross income, the total most maximum amount that can be collected from this property. From that number, that's our income. We got that done. We have our expenses. I'm gonna take the $480,000, and for simplicity right now, I'm gonna assume that we collected the rent on every unit, which would never happen but let's just assume it for right now because we're doing napkin underwriting, okay? I'm gonna take half of this and say I'm gonna spend it in expenses. In the state of Florida, if I'm on the East Coast, it's definitely gonna be 50%. If I'm on the West Coast, I'm probably gonna be around 38%. You have to know the taxes, the expenses, the insurance. That's gonna include our vacancy here, loss collections, electricity, insurance, taxes, etc. And I'm going to have $240,000 of what is called NOI. That is determined by GI less expenses equals NOI. And all I do now is flip the page and take my NOI of $240,000, divide it by the percentage that I would like to make on the property, and I have my value. If I would like $240,000 to be a 10% return, then I would know that I could pay $2.4 million for that property. At $2.4 million, I would then know I would earn a 10% return. If I only needed a 6% return, because let's say it's a better location, New York, Chicago, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Los Angeles, San Diego, Denver or Boulder, and I'm like, great property, I don't need but a 6% return, I could now pay $4 million. And the way you figure that, this is called cap rate. You basically just divide by the 6, the 8, the 10, the 4, the 3, whatever the cap rate is. Cap rate is basically the percentage you would want to receive on the property if you paid cash. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you how to do here, and very important, once you've done your napkin underwriting the way we do and we teach our students to do, very simple, okay? Just keep it very simple. Why? Because I want to be able to get on the phone with a broker. It goes like this. I find a deal, I do my napkin, I call the broker. Okay, I'm trying to test my napkin against what the broker says that property should or should not bring, or what the expectation on the price is. The last thing you want to do here is you want to take this offer. Remember, we came between 2.4 million if it's a 10 cap, and we did $4 million if it's a 6 cap. I'm gonna have a spread, so I know somewhere between 2.4 and $4 million is gonna be what's expected by the seller and anticipated by the buyers. I won't be the only buyer, hopefully, okay? I'm now gonna divide by the number of units by my offer to see if my offer per unit lines up with the marketplace. Okay, in the case of $2.4 million, I would be paying 40 units. I'd be paying $60,000 a unit. I'm like, 60 grand a unit in Miami, never gonna happen. Denver, never gonna happen. LA, never gonna happen again. Okay, New York City, never gonna happen. But if I go to Jackson, Mississippi, maybe, okay? Maybe Jackson, Mississippi, I could find some old rural community. They don't have a bunch of jobs. Maybe I could, maybe it makes sense. I'm using this as a check, as a metric to figure out, hey, what's right? What should be in that ballpark? What's reasonable for me to make an offer to this seller? Okay, because I don't want to offend them. I want to get a conversation going. I'm going to show you in another video the exact steps, by the way, the sequence in which I make offers. I find a deal, I underwrite it this fast. I'm telling you, in under 60 seconds, I'll know somewhere between 2.4 and $4 million is what somebody's going to offer on this property. And then I'm going to get on the phone with the broker and try to sell him on selling the property to me and find out whether I have a real buyer or not. Okay, last thing. On the $4 million, what are we paying there? 4 million divided by 40 units. Oh, I'm 100 grand a unit. I'm like, dude, that still seems pretty cheap for Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Boulder, Colorado, Los Angeles. Almost
but sometimes they don't, and some deals fall apart once we're in contract. So at least um the way you do stuff, it gives a lot of investors an advantage and saying, hey, we can do this in a 15-day close, 17-day close, and you give them a confidence of writing that contract of maybe even sometimes without and I don't recommend this all the time, but maybe sometimes without the loan contingency or the appraisal contingency, right? Just so that you can beat cash offers. But that's because you did your due diligence as a realtor
I was gonna
and you
say,
broke that down.
I was just gonna say that like when you're shopping for residential properties, you're not just throwing out a non-contingent offer for every client. Even in the market, even in the COVID era, people were putting out non-contingent offers. They weren't putting them out blindly. They knew that they got an approval letter from credit approved. So
Yeah, yeah,
it was already buttoned up
yeah. It was
before they
underwritten.
got to the deal,
Yeah,
underwritten approval.
it was underwritten approved. Yeah, yeah. Income, everything, and it makes a
So
big
it
difference.
makes a huge difference. A seller's gonna look at that and say they got theirs in order.
Mhm.
So why wouldn't I? It's almost done. And the same way for the residential is the same way for the commercial. What the tools that I use in order to make sure that I button up a buyer or an investor is the same thing that a lender is going to use to ask, is this even something they want to entertain? I mean, of course they want to entertain it, but you get the gist. Is it going to cover itself? Is it gonna make money on the back end for the investor? Of course, the investor wants to make money at the refinance year. If you have a refinance year, is it gonna cover the original debt, and is it gonna give the investor 50% or north of it back the original investment? See, people want to make money, get their money back, and still make money. So that's another strategy or another reason why people like this opportunity is because you could put money in, get your money back, and still own an asset. But yeah, no, I mean, to your credit, yeah, I appreciate you for all of that, man. I mean, the head nod is awesome. I mean, learning this wasn't easy. It did cost me uh, a lot of time, energy, and even money. So I appreciate that.
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head, man. I mean, what do investors look for, right? Cash flow, demand, return on investment, and then possibly an exit strategy, right? Can you sell it, refinance it, or rent it easily? So, I mean, that's literally why you put in the work when you're looking at these properties, right? That's why you stay up until midnight doing your research on this property, pulling a bunch of reports, make sure everything's clean. Because yeah, a lender can have you underwritten approved for X amount of dollars, right? But if the real estate side doesn't make sense on it, there is no point to do it. Especially, I mean, if you're doing like a DSCR loan, right? It just doesn't make sense, right? The bank's gonna be like, "What the fuck did you just give me? Why'd you even like send this shit in?" You know, I mean,
Yeah.
lenders. I mean, they do lend like on less than one, right? We do like even at 0.5, right? But your interest rate, dude, like you're gonna be paying 12%, like damn near what would you be paying with a hard money loan, right? So is it worth it? No. Fuck no, dude. Like, no, it's not worth it. Like, no, it's not worth it, you
Yeah,
know?
man.
But that's why you do your due diligence, man. And I think that's why a lot of people appreciate you because you do that shit up front.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I mean, I do plan on. I was hinting at this a little while ago, going over this actual tool. But the truth is, this is not something that everybody's breaking down doors to get. This is something that a very specific audience is looking for. And a lot of people want to be in this audience. A lot of people want to be sophisticated investors. But not everybody is a sophisticated investor. And so if you feel like this is something that this is up your alley, let me know because of course I could help, but I don't like wasting my time. I'm sure you probably would understand because you don't want to waste your time as well. But if it makes sense for you to work on something like this, give me some kind of sense of direction so that for therefore I could create um a class around this so I can kind of break it down and show you how to use the tool. But I'll be looking out for it. I mean, if this is something you like, if this is something you want to learn, would love to show you.
And I think definitely we should do like a class on teaching people how to become investors, right? Even if that means you buy your home, your first primary home, and then you wait a year, live in it a year, and then do the same thing the following year, right? Then you rent out the property you just bought. You go live in your new one and then do the same thing the following year, right? Especially if you're 22, 23 years old living in the Central Valley or in the or you got an awesome job in the Bay Area, you know, you really could do that. You do that for 10 years. Guess what? You're sitting on 9, 10 properties in 10 years and you have an exit strategy.
Is my screen popping up?
Yep.
This is a class. This is a class for investors. It's called Rental Lords. It is designed to walk through different scenarios for investors and people that own properties. That way they can see ins and outs of things that they knew or didn't know, leveraging professionals that can take the ease and burden off of them, as well as looking at ways to better analyze deals. So that's why I was asking about if somebody even wanted to know about how to underwrite a deal, because I'm going to be putting this into a class. It's not just here's a tool. It's, is this what you want? How is it that this tool is going to amplify or make your life better? And if it makes your life better, I want to be at least the person that pointed you in the right direction, because how I got it, you don't want to get it the way I got it. It's like I went through the jungle so that way I could create a path for you, so you don't have to go through treacherous areas. Like it's expensive to get into real estate and make expensive mistakes. These are $1 million mistakes, tens of millions of dollars. I'm hearing people are defaulting on
Yep.
assets that they bought because they underwrote the deal wrong. You don't want to be that. So if it is something that is interesting to you, you're on a class. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Rodrigo, that uh, this is something that you'd like to participate in, but this is something that is up, and this is something that I'm spending a great deal of time in considering what is important to create as a lesson for investors. So that way, when putting a plan together, it's concise. What is important to you? Deal just means that the security around it is much stronger. So the lower the cap rate, the higher the security. The higher the cap rate, the more difficult or distressed the area could be.
I'm going to walk away from the computer for a moment. Be right back.
I can give an example. Like Stockton might have like a 10% cap rate, right? Like maybe the projects like Watts or something like that.
Mhm.
Compton might have a high cap rate, whereas Orange County, where everybody wants to be, and so I'm using North and Southern California to make my point, but their cap rates are probably going to be around 4%, 3%, and it just depends on the deal and the size of the deal.
Good to know.
But yeah, we do. And before I do, like I said, this is just a portion of the tool that I use to underwrite a deal. And to be honest, by going through this, it's like deep diving into a full course of why why would anybody want to know this kind of information? And I'd rather us touch on topics than me going straight into this like people know exactly what I'm talking about, like they've been studying this for years or something like that. But you asked a question about cap rate. That was a great one.
No, well, I also saw like at the time it was like the debt coverage, right? And that's pretty much what we do on the lending side when we're doing a DSCR loan, right? Debt service coverage ratio of the loan. So, I mean, the higher your ratio is, right, the better your rate's gonna be. So it helps you out a lot. So I mean, you're pretty much doing half the work for your lender, and doing an awesome job for your investor at the same time, right? Because then you already know which deals are gonna work and which deals are gonna get they're gonna get their best bang for their buck by the time it gets to lending.
Man, if I knew you was gonna pat me on the back, I would have wore something different.
Hey man, I gotta give credit where credit is due, bro. Come on.
That's right, man. But yeah, no, the debt coverage, it's strictly 1.25, meaning that it's making money. It's not just a zero gain. 1% would be like a 1 for 1. I'm not saying that you can't get a deal for a 1% DCR, but it's you have to ask yourself what kind of deal do you want. There's probably circumstances around the deal that makes it more convenient for you to do something like that. Let's say that you're a manager yourself and you said, okay, I don't need managers to run the property. I just want to get more assets. Well, then something like a debt coverage wouldn't be like the most important to you. You might say, okay, I'll take on this asset, cut out some of the expenses, even if it was a 1 for 1 for the first year. Well, in the subsequent years, you're going to probably be cash flowing.
Are there cases where you would say like a 0 point, let's just say for an example, like a 0.8 debt coverage ratio would be okay?
No, I don't think so. At least tell me the why.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so, number one, the banks are not going to lend on it. They want 1% or more. And like you mentioned before, if it's closer to 1.25, they know that it's already making money as soon as it closes. So that's like, okay, we want that money in this pocket. We want to give you the money faster. Whereas if it's lower, they're like, well, how do we not deflate this? Let me look for a reason not to. The closer we are to one, the worse off it is. But it doesn't mean that you can't get the deal.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I mean, you want to cash flow, bro. You want to make some money. Definitely go off.
I mean, you're talking about cash flow,
Yeah,
but there are folks in SoCal and Bay Area that just want to make sure that they're getting their tax benefits, just getting the money off of them and putting it into a high leverage asset like this. So I mean, some people know that there's not a lot of cash flow in these markets. It's more of a long term business, a long term strategy.
yeah. So I mean, and I'll have to bring this guy on. His name is the great Ron Cedillo, man. I met him. I mean, I met him when I was in high school, man. But like learning from him now, I mean, he's saying that you know, let's break this down for investors, right? Or even people who are trying to offset their taxes. Someone who's making around like, let's just say, 500, $600,000. How much in taxes do they have to pay, right? Sometimes paying, even though you have to come out of pocket to pay that mortgage for the house that you invested on, it's less money for what you're gonna pay. Let's just say you have to put in an extra $1,000 a month, right, on that mortgage just to cover the mortgage. It's better than paying that money, and I'm sorry, IRS, if might fucking get in trouble, right? But it's I'm not a tax professional, but it's a way better to be paying that $1,000 a month, which equals out to $12,000 a year, than paying $100,000 of taxes at the end of the year. I'm not a tax professional though, but that's what he's at, and that's what he's telling me. I
Yeah,
don't.
man, it's
I mean, we
you're
can
gonna
ex.
pay
We can.
something.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay tax. You're not really escaping responsibility. What we're doing here is we're using assets to offset liabilities. And when we're making more money, the money that we are not putting into the world becomes a liability. It's still money. And we want to make sure that you have less of a tax burden as possible. So if you spend the money, you want to spend it in something that's going to be appreciating in value, not something that's depreciating in value. It's like assets versus liability. You don't buy a car with that money. You buy a real estate, or you buy a piece of art. You buy something that is going to hold its value or gain its value. People buy gold. So real estate is Bitcoin, but you can you do your research and see. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm not a crypto guy, so I don't know, man. I don't know.
you do your research and you. But no, for sure, whatever I have available, I'm just gonna put it to
And
you.
like
And
I
like I
said,
said,
in
in
certain
certain
markets,
markets,
make
you
sure
know
that
for
it's,
sure that there
suitable, if it
is
makes sense,
a
then good, we'll move forward. If
um,
it doesn't make sense,
there is
we
a
find out and we go
there's
from
not going to be a
there. It's
cash
just
flow
no, it's no hard
bonanza
feelings,
happening
you know?
in the Bay Area just because it's the cap. Or you were talking about a cap rate. The cap rates are low, meaning that it's a desirable area, and you can only push the rents so high, where what you're doing is you're banking on the long-term success of the area, the real estate being the prize and not the cash flow. But that it still works out well for the investor because of tax purposes. They get to offset their income and their real estate income with these tax benefits and accelerated depreciation. So yeah, it's huge, but I don't want to be speaking in a foreign language to people. But if you're interested in learning something about that, to see how you can offset some of your assets, so that way you don't have to, I mean, offset some of your liabilities, right? So that way you can continue to make more money or retain a lot of your money using assets like a multifamily. It's pretty cool to look at the ins and outs of it, because the more that we're able to provide in a value, the more people will want to stay in our bubble, stay in the realm of what Rodrigo's got going on, what's going on with Rodrelle and Roger, because people are making money. I've got clients that are telling me they're trying to drop bags on real estate because they have too much in their bank. And I understand that. I mean, being in the Bay Area, people are making money, and it starts to get scary when you're holding on to it, because you know that tax bill is coming. And if you don't let go of that money quick enough, nobody wants to pay that kind of money. I'm just gonna be real about it. I
Yeah.
get
I mean,
mad about paying whatever I'm paying it for, but when you're making 500, $600,000, it's like, no, there's no way, there's no way.
yeah, type your income. So, I mean, that's why you hit a Rodrell to find you a good ass deal in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I mean, this is a deal. For example, this is a very specific deal that I was showing you. That was in Moraga, and there are people that are on the market that are looking to sell. There are people that were on the market that are no longer on the market, that I already have run numbers through and seen if they were feasible or not, that are just not even on the market right now. It doesn't mean that these deals don't exist. It just means that they're not getting the number that they were wanting. So who knows? I might have somebody that's looking to sell, that was trying to sell 3 or 4 years ago. The question is are you interested?
Yeah, I like that one. Bitcoin is straight up the number for me. Honestly, um, maybe we can get into this later, right? But the only reason why this came up to mind, and I want to know what your experience is, right, with clients wanting to buy or sell like new build homes, right? If that's something that you can touch on a little bit. I don't know if that's something that if you're experienced with or not.
In what regard? Because I mean, there are folks that are trying to sell their new construction home that they got in
like a year or two
24 and
ago.
23, right? And they're facing some realities that they're not comfortable with, like people that have bought their homes in 2018, right? They're seeing prices come back down to that. There are some folks that are looking at prices drop, and it just doesn't make them feel eager or motivated to get on the market or even test it out to see if it's worth entertaining. But I mean, maybe you see something different.
No, well, I mean, I'm kind of there with you, right? A lot of these people are starting to see, they overpaid for a lot of their new build homes, right? Yeah, the incentives were probably great. They probably got a great rate, but they're starting to see that their house is still worth the same when they bought it back in 2022, 2023, and they're trying to sell it now and trying to get premium money. But then the new build, literally brand new construction in the same neighborhood that was built like 2 weeks ago, is being sold for the same amount that they bought their house 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
So like the incentive, who's gonna buy the used car when they can just buy a new car, the same value?
Mhm.
So it's the question around seller expectation. I mean, we know that the seller's expectations were through the roof during COVID. Maybe even a year or two after COVID, sellers still had dictatorship over the market. Right now, sellers are wondering what happened, and the numbers speak for themselves. We watched a rise of 40% for 40% of value pushed into the market in the last 6 years. We have to face buyers um, that have been waiting patiently, and now that the market is adjusting. There was a forecast that was I'm not gonna name cities, but there was some cities that were at -10% um, at sales price. So since last year, that's last year, 10% the sales price difference in 1 year. So that does make a dent in what that 40% number is, but it's still 30% different from what a safe market or a regular market would look like, minus the COVID bump from the funds that we got flooded with stimulus and all this kind of aftermath from moratoriums. And you remember moratoriums, right? All that
Yeah.
stuff is still making a role. Matter of fact, LA has a ice moratorium that they're looking at implementing. I don't know if you heard about that.
I haven't heard about it yet.
Yeah, they're and there's it's not just LA. I think it's Culver City too.
Oh shit, for real? That's
Yeah,
sick.
so there's still a lot of lag from like the things that have happened in the COVID era that are still lingering into the market today that we just don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I mean something is happening now. We're seeing it in real time. There were people
Yeah.
overbidding not just for real estate like regular residential properties. There were people that were overbidding for investment properties such as the ones that I was just giving you a kind of a background on the checklist. See, I got into syndication or the investment, multifamily investing in 22.
So this is typical right here. All the ones are pretty much the same. This one's been painted. Carpets will get cleaned. We got light AC, blinds. Good. I don't know how they decided that. What else is interesting? one side of this complex is electric, the other side is gas. Going at it.
One bedroom is gas,
Yeah.
all two is electric.
Okay.
Those are all 2 bedrooms over there?
Oh, the bedroom is one, one of this all is two.
So every one of these is 2 bedrooms.
This bedroom, no.
All of these are 1-1s right here. On the other side of the complex are the two ones. Carpets, fixtures should be fine. The cabinets are fine. Bathroom is hard to see; it's really dark in here. No lights. Lights need to be redone, but repaint. Popcorn ceiling, nothing wrong with that. Balconies need to be redone.
That's the office to the left.
Okay.
You want to see the inside? It should be unlocked. Understand why they didn't put dishwashers in these. But they look good. So these were started over.
How many units of these do we have?
4.
Okay. So this is our model.
These are 15, what did I rent that for? 1550?
How much do we have a rental cost on these units?
Oh, I split. Good size. And they all have, bottom floors have nice patio.
I know I'm recording, but I'm gonna have to walk through and take photos.
That's fine. This way.
Sorry.
So, I mean, if he doesn't want to do anything, I told him to switch it, so it's up to him. I mean, he doesn't have a reason.
You want to put the stuff in the
It's fine with me. This one wasn't good.
2-bedroom.
This one is going to be 1691.
1695.
Yeah, and you know, because of the it's not, I mean, for years, so the family, this was a family-owned business, as I made mention to you. And the owner was doing all of the maintenance himself. He lives in Clayton, and he was coming up here on the, treating it like a job, and staying on top of it. And then he passed away. Before he passed, he hired this guy, Kurt, and
And Kurt didn't do this part.
well, steal stuff, take stuff. This was.
So you would, the mirror's not even here.
Yeah. And Kurt basically did what he wanted to do until I came along and I put a stop to all this. You know, he lied, he stole. When Ashika was on vacation, the owners left him to do the day-to-day management. He moved someone into an build, buy new parts, and you know, every time I talked to the owner, it's like I never said they couldn't buy anything. You know, taking plugs. This is the type of work that he does.
Yeah.
And
Take that up nicely.
yeah. So this is typical right here. All the ones are pretty much the same. This one's been painted. Carpets will get cleaned. We gotta buy AC, blinds. Good. This is interesting. This is a big one.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know how they decided that. What else is interesting is one side of this complex is electric, the other side is gas. Don't ask.
One bedroom is gas,
Yeah.
all two is electric.
Okay.
Those are all two bedrooms over there?
Yes. First bedroom is one, part of it all is two.
So everyone needs is two bedrooms.
From this bedroom to not.
All of these are 1-1s right here. On the other side of the complex are the two ones. Carpets, fixtures should be fine. The cabinets need cabinets are fine. Bathroom is hard to see; it's really dark in here. No lights. Um, Lights need to be redone, but repaint. Popcorn ceiling, nothing wrong with that. Balconies are need to be redone. Okay.
You want to see the inside? Should be unlocked. Understand why they didn't put um, dishwashers in these, but they look good. So these were started.
How many units of these do we have?
4.
Okay. So this is our model.
These are 15. 15. What did I rent that for? 15. 1550.
How much do we have a rental cost on these units?
Practically. They're great size. And they all have bottom floors have nice patio.
I know I'm recording, but I'm gonna have to walk through and take photos.
That's fine. This way.
Sorry. Look, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. And of course, this is my first time going live, soliciting free services of any kind. I want you to know that I'm excited, regardless if anybody showed up or not. I'm excited to make myself available to you. This resource is not something that most people do for free. This is something that is $1,000 or more worth of ex- well, there's worth of services, and I'm giving it to you guys for free. And ultimately, it won't be free forever. I don't expect anyone ever to just expect these kind of services for free. I'm doing this because I feel like it's something that can help other people out, help me out. Nothing in life is just a one-way thing. It's mutually beneficial for me to help you, and as well as me doing this for you, making myself available for other people that are interested in the same things that we are. So if it makes sense to you and you feel like you want to exercise these services, take a look into the description. My email will be there. Send me over your property deal that you would need help with underwriting, and I don't mind helping you out doing that underwriting for free, no attachments to the deal. And I don't have any reason to float the deal around to other people. Of course, there are people that do that. I am letting you know up front right now with this video as a proof that I am not doing that. And if it makes you feel any better, you can always send in an NDA and I will sign that for you. And in the future, I will be doing NDAs for other people to sign, because, of course, I want to make sure you feel confident and comfortable working with somebody, or just leveraging somebody that has been there and done that and has done underwriting on hundreds of deals at this point. So feel free to give me a call, text, or an email with your deal, and I will look forward to working with you guys in the near future. In the meantime, my name is Rodrelle. I'm a real estate agent for the last 12 years. syndicator for the last 3. And if you need anything or have any questions, I want to be a resource to you and I want to be here to help. And I appreciate your time. I look forward to talking to you guys in the next video. I plan on making these videos on Mondays and Fridays. I'm going to start putting a schedule together so you can anticipate video drops in the near future. I will do it this way until further notice. So that way, you know, it is a regular program and a regular schedule that I want to make myself available to you to just chime, hang out with me, exchange these conversations with me, make myself available to you. And I appreciate you. And I'll be talking to you guys in the near future.